Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are around the world. This is Dr. Positive on Liberia Shall Rise. Today, our topic is decentralization of power. I have my brother here with me, Mr. Emmanuel Sapolosia. The Amber man will hear his perspective on decentralization of power. So, Mr. Sapolosia, how are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful today. Thank God for everything. Our weather here is good. Family is doing well, and I hope our audience are doing the same. And it's good to be back. Last week I was out. At least I'm back, and hopefully we can have a good discussion to see what we can do for our country.
All right, good. So, brother, between you and myself, our country going to be turning 178 years old. 178 years old, and that's a big number. And knowing everybody, the way I see people on Facebook, even our own Liberian, and when birthday coming, everybody posting somewhere saying, "Oh, my birthday is loading. My birthday loading. Y'all get ready. My birthday loading. Y'all get ready." Right? But for Liberia, after 178 years, when our birthday coming, what are we telling people to get ready for our? Why are we telling people our birthday is loading? Right? I know there's somebody just saying something, just laughing about it, looking at your phone.
uh,
Yeah.
so, you know, as a human being, it depends on where you are in life. That people tend to celebrate those birthdays, right? I
Mhm.
know most people tend to celebrate their 50th anniversary because it's half a century. So some people have big parties, and some people celebrate 65, especially in the United States because that's a retirement year. Some people, once they reach that 65, they have a huge party because it's the time to retire. Uh, Now for a country, especially like Liberia, I don't know what we can. I mean, there are other things we can be thankful for, and other things we can celebrate. But I don't know if we can actually celebrate, as you can see back there, Liberia 1847. I don't know what we're celebrating now, in my opinion, in my observation. Some of us have always had a reservation when it comes to the independence of Liberia, especially with some of the things that are going. But it is what it is. We are part of that country. We are from that country, and we got different perspective when it comes to our independence. But again, since the Constitution provides that we celebrate that day, we will still celebrate it until something can change constitutional wise. Other than that, some of us may not agree, but that's what the Constitution says. So we will celebrate that day based on what the Constitution says.
All right. So again, according to what the Constitution said, they said Liberia is a republic. So our country, we have the main central government and the capital. Then we have counties, and the counties they say is more established because of administrative purposes, right?
Mhm.
So when they say administrative purposes, you have the president who is the king of the country. You can say the head of the heads. When the president say
Yes.
everybody smart, everybody's supposed to smart. Nobody else is not smart, right?
Yes.
Then you have the superintendent that the president appoint. The vice president, on the other hand, usually he's there, but most Liberians don't even talk much about the vice president. Even in our local communities, when you become vice president, it's like nobody see you. You understand? So even at the presidential level, it's almost the same. At the national level, it's almost the same. So the president elects or appoints the superintendent who's supposed to be the head of the county. And based on that, I will just go straight to the meat. People are saying that we should change that the president should not be the one appointing the superintendent anymore. In order for us to have decentralization of power, we have to have the president, the superintendent elected, so somebody else can have the dream or the vision of the county going forward instead of every time a president come, we have Ellen Johnson working with her own agenda. We now have Weah working with a proper agenda, and then now we have the rescue mission, right? And these mission, these different agenda by different president stop in their favorite counties, right? I would just put it that way. It stopped in their favorite counties because, for example, if a President A doesn't like County B, no development go into that county, and that's not good for a country this old. So I will right off the bat agree with the 78% of people who said that, according to Afro Barometer. Maybe I should share this for everybody to see it before they say it's me. Right? According to Afrobarometer, they said 78% of Liberians agree that we should take the election of the superintendent from the president. You understand? Because that is impacting development. What do you think about that? Why I share this on the screen?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
part of
part
that
of that
78%
78%
because
because
I
I
believe
believe
that
that
it
it
empowers
empowers
the
the
local
local
community.
community.
And I
And
think
I
I will
think I
even
will
take it
even take it
further.
further.
That
That
is, we
is, we
should
should
elect our
elect our
commissioners in the
commissioners in the
district,
district,
elect our
elect our
city
city
mayors,
mayors,
elect our
elect our
superintendents.
superintendents.
Because,
Because,
in my
in my
opinion,
opinion,
the
the
central
central
government they
government may
have the
have the
overall
overall
authority
authority
for the
for the
country.
country.
But I think
But I
the
think the
localized
localized
strategy or
strategy or
planning
planning
or
or
agenda,
development agenda
should come
should
from
come
the
from the
local
local
people.
people.
And if
And
the
if the
person
person
who
who
is
is
serving
serving
as
as
the
the
superintendent,
superintendent, the
city
city
mayor,
mayor,
and
and
the
the
commissioner,
commissioner,
if they
if they
serve
serve
at
at the
the
will
will
and
and pleasure
pleasure
of the
of the
president,
president,
it
it
becomes
becomes
it becomes
it becomes
detrimental,
detrimental, in my opinion,
toward the
to the
local
local
community.
community.
Because
Because
if I
if I
elect my
elect my
superintendent, if I
superintendent, if I
elect my
elect my
mayor, if
mayor,
I
if I
elect my
elect my
commissioner,
commissioner,
they are
they are
serving
serving
me and
me
not at
and
the
not
will
at
and
the
the
will of
pleasure
the
of the
pleasure of the
president.
president.
So
So
with
with
that,
that,
if we
if we
need
need
clinic,
clinic,
we
we
need
need
hospital, we
hospital,
need
we need
whatever
whatever we
we
need
need
our
our community,
community,
that
that
commissioner or that
commissioner or that
superintendent
superintendent
will
will
address
address
it
it
right there
right
and
there and
then.
then.
But if we
But if
take
we
the
take the
power and
power
give
and
it to
give
the
it to the president
who
who
appoints
appoints these people,
when
when he is not
willing to
willing to
spend money
spend
in
money in
bunker, then we
bunker,
saw
they will
these
saw
things
these things
during
during
some of the
some of the
administration
administration
past
past
administration. I
administration. I
will
will
go
go
back
back
to
to
Ellen
Ellen
Johnson
Johnson
time.
time.
I think her
I think her
second
second
tenure,
tenure,
she
she
said
said
because
because
Bunkande
Bonkande
citizens
citizens
did not
did not
vote
vote
for
for
her,
her,
there were
there was certain
development
development
project
project
that
that
the
the
Bunkande
Bonkande
citizens were
citizens were
asking, but
asking,
she
but
said
she said
she
she
was
was
not
not
going
going
to
to
get
get
it
it
because
because she didn't think it was feasible to receive that,
I guess,
I guess, that benefit from her.
And
And we have seen some of the implied policies that have affected other countries as well, whether it's the George Weah government, whether it's this current government, or previous other government that have existed in Liberia, right?
Somebody
They don't verbally announce it, but it is implied because we see how they silence those counties or those cities based on what the result of the election was.
So I
think if we elect these people,
it
it
becomes
becomes their development, all right? The development project or policy is based on what the needs of the people are, and they can address it based on that,
right?
And I think I agree with those 78%, and I am part of that 78%.
All right. All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. And for folks watching us, if you just joined us, this is Liberia Shall Rise. We're talking about decentralization of power. Liberia is turning 178 years old in few days, next week. Actually, 178 years old. And as old as we are, when you walk out of, as soon as you leave Monrovia, you see right away that Liberia stops in Monrovia. When would that change? When would that change where we can start seeing development at all in all county level, at different county level, at the closest village? You understand? When would that change? So this is what we want to talk about today. How can we move from Liberia being Monrovia? Right? I know we love James Monroe so much. We want to do all our development in his namesake. But at some point, as a people, we have to get past this. We have to leave this Monrovia thing and start looking at development at another level. But our problem here is if we are looking at development at the other level and only one man, according to our constitution, have the power to appoint, he have the power to fire, he have the power to hire. Does that give our country a chance for development? Does that give Liberia a chance of development? If only one man can say, all right, today I ate Tobagi, so I'm feeling good about the Lofa people. I'm gonna build a road to Lofa County. Then the day somebody cooked Tobagi for him, that Tobagi doesn't have enough chicken soup in it, not sweet. Then he blocked the development to Lofa County. You understand? So why will we put our country development at the mercy of one person, which is the president? And that's the question we want to ask you. What do you think about decentralization? Is Liberia ready for decentralization? Should we decentralize and make make power to be shared around the country, where the superintendent that is the next person that have power in the county, should he have his own budget? Should he have his own development budget, where at the beginning of the year, the same way the president go and speak to the Senate and the House of Representatives, the superintendent come to the people in the villages and say they have a big discussion on where the county is going. And the superintendent decide, and then they come up with a development plan to say in 10 years, Riverside County is going to have a theme park. Riverside County is going to have a university. Riverside County is going to have flowing drinking water to all its houses, right? Who is deciding on something like that for the county, if not the president? Mr. Sapolos here.
Yeah, so if we can go further back, if I look at what have happened in the last 30 years, I would say, starting from the Taylor era, right? Prior to that, there were certain requirements everybody had to meet to have a county status. And just my own observation. But in the last 30 years, some of those requirements have not been met. If you look at River G, if you look at Bapulu, those did not meet some of the criteria that was needed to be a county, right? And people have done this based on political will of the individual that is in power. And I think that has also created a problem where people are not looking at what a county is meant, or the role the county is meant to play in the country, right? I remember a while back in the 80s, before Doe came in, shifted the political sub-region to where it was. We used to have, I think, the North region, the Central region, and the South region. That's how it used to be. And I think these little pieces that we keep creating to be county and all this stuff, they don't have the resources to support themselves if we were to decentralize. Right? Because if you're going to create a budget, which could be another argument, right? The central government will ask you, okay, what do you have that will allow you to create the county status, or to be this independent body that will decide on your own budget, your developmental agenda, and all that stuff? Maybe that's the next question that the central government will ask. So I think before you can meet before the constitution should be amended, in my opinion, we have to go back and look at that as well. What does it take for you to be a county? Can this county, if we are going to make you, your superintendent, to be elected, to have the autonomous authority, will you be able to sustain yourself? Right? And I'm all for having those things done, but we have to also look at the cons of that, right? We usually look at the pros, but the cons need to be addressed as well.
Let's hold on 1 second. Somebody said your audio is bad. So can you maybe drop quick, or let me take you off?
I think it was because of that. Whenever you share that stuff, that's when my audio become bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you had that sharing, that's when my audio became bad.
All right, Mr. Roland, please let us know if it's still good. Thank you for letting us know. But yeah, and I think you are totally right? Because in reference to development, right? What will decentralization do for the counties? According to the little research I did online, it says sometimes there's a good and bad for decentralization, right? But let's focus on the good side of decentralization first before we go to the bad, right? So the good side is you will have development on the rise. There will be competition, right? For example, I'm from Sepakon. You are from Grand GDL or something. And we build the first, how you call it, reservoir. No, so we built the first reservoir that supply water to all our county citizens, right? Right now, if let's say River G, for example, one of the smallest county or the newest counties in Liberia, has somebody leading, and that person go and establish a reservoir that is now providing safe drinking water for all citizens in River G. And it hit the news in Liberia. The next person in Grand G that will say, wait now, if River G, this small county, can provide safe drinking water for all its people, what about me, Grand G there? Right? So now whoever is leading that county will start doing something to develop themselves. Then River G come back and say, all right, I'm going to build one of the largest science and technology university in my county. They're no longer in our children's life will they have to leave River G and go to Monrovia to go to college, right? Except the program that we offer is not offered in our university here. Then they will decide to leave. But once they are in this county, they will have a technical college that they can attend, right? Then they stand up that college, and before you know it, they are now the tech hub for Liberia. The next county will want to do the same. They will say, all right, since we are good at agriculture, we'll put up the largest agriculture college in West Africa or in Liberia. So based on that, you will find leaders will start competing with each other. And that's how job will be created. That's how job will be created. But right now, sadly, we have all our representatives living in Monrovia. All our representatives living in Monrovia, the legislative, the representative, the senators, all of them live in Monrovia. So there's no competition, even on their own houses. They compete in Monrovia. The other person build a big house in Monrovia. The other one want to build a big house in Monrovia. So even development from their county perspective, they're not doing anything from the individual representative perspective to develop their county. So now let's take the representative out and say, all right, since the superintendent is a person that have the power to work with the president to know what development is coming to the county, why if we then decide now to say we give these superintendents some power that they have the right to create their own budget every year? When the president created his budget, that include the budget from the superintendent for each county. So now we'll have 16 different budgets coming to the president's desk saying this is what we want to do. This is the roads we want to build. This is the school we want to build. These are the things we want to do, right? If you cannot give us that money, as a central government, we have rubber in our county. We have iron ore in our county. When that iron ore is mined, 10% or 20% of that money will come to the central government. Then the rest will go to our project that we have allocated for development. I will let you add to that, Mr. Sapolos here.
Yeah, so beside the competition, one of the points I wanted to really stress is this. If you have a decentralized government where the county is in power, then their education system will be strategized to meet their needs, right? So, for example, like you talk about, let's say the Southeast, if you got mining company, if you got mountain that you need to mine, then you have to train your people based on what you have. So your education system will be modeled to your needs, not what the central government decides is good for the entire country. Because Monrovia, yes, you may have banking systems that are there, you may have many hospitals that are there, you may have all these other things that are there, but those things are not spread throughout the country. But for one country, for example, you are base, right? So most of your education will be focusing on how, how you can attack those needs of the country. So if you're creating your budget will be really targeting the needs of your people. In river cess or so, if you have fisheries, your teaching or your training will be based on what can meet your staff, what can create employment opportunity for your people. My Gibby, since we have the Firestone company, your target will be that how you can process the rubber to benefit your people, right? Because whatever resources you have, your training should be targeted at that. So that way we will create, it will empower your citizens. Not where the central government will go and sign a consensus agreement that will only or benefit the central government, right? But if you decentralize it, Bon County, for example, if you got bone mines, you're training people on how to make steel, how to make or those materials to be utilized in Bon County. And if you are exporting those things, you'll be doing finished or semi-finished product, where you have already trained your people to know mining, to know anything that has to do with mining. And if you're producing rubber, the same thing. Whatever you're doing, but at least the education system will be localized that will benefit the people. Train your people based on what the needs are for the counties. That's addition to what that's what I think that's an added value that decentralizing or the form of government will do. Now we're not creating a federal state. Before somebody say, "Oh, are you trying to become a federal state?" No, you don't have to be. All right, you can still have a republic as it is. However, you are only empowering those counties, those leadership in the county, so that they can structure their developmental process or policies to be based on the needs of the county. You cannot go and build a university of Bon County like what they have just done in recent time. I heard that the Bon Technical College is now is going to be a Bon County University. Now, my question then will be, what are you going to be offering that will be needed, that will meet the needs of the Bon County citizen? What develop are you going to be training people on mining, geologists, and all the other stuff that will be readily needed or used to develop the county? What are you going to do, right? So we shouldn't go back into teaching law. How many law firms do we have in Bon County? We don't have a lot. So why will you be teaching law in Bon County? Why will you dedicate 2 semesters to teach law? How many banking systems, how many companies do you have to go and start teaching accounting, right? But what we can do, if you decentralize that, what you can do is look at Bon County and say, what do we need in Bon County? We know agriculture is a big deal. So can we invest most of our money? If what we're producing is about 50% agriculture, can we use 50% to develop agriculture mine in Bon County? That is the mine. When I say mine, agriculture mine in Bon County. If we have a lot of rivers, those rivers can produce cold water fish or whatever. Can we use Kari as an example, which is in agriculture? Can we develop those people to start giving aqua fishery? Because you got a lot of swamp in Bon County, right? How many percent of swamp do we have in Bon County? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Can we use 10% of that resources to target that area? So whatever you have, that's how you distribute your resources, and then target those places based on the need of the county. Now, if you go to River Sets, we know they have a long sea coast, right? Say you have a long sea coast. What if you open a university or a college or a training center? How many percent of our sea coast? How many fishery are we producing? Based on that, you can invest that amount of money to train your people in that sector, right? And in my opinion, if we start to do those, target those things that we can produce, then that's how I will be empowering our people based on the superintendent and his team that he have with him, right? And then that power, instead of concession agreement or county development fund going to lawmakers and then to go to district, now it's going to the superintendent who is overseer of the county, and that money can be used to target those various sectors to develop the mind and the needs, to meet the needs of the people. I think if we decentralize, we should be targeting it based on those things.
All right. So you just brought one thing up that people will say that when you do decentralization, you have to make sure that the corrupt people that are in Monrovia don't make it all the way to Sepacon. They don't make it to the villages. They don't make it to those places that basically have no watchdog, right? Nobody's seeing what they are doing. So according to folks notes that I read, they said when you are doing decentralization, one of the side thing is, or one of the caveat is, you have to work on the rules and regulation concerning decentralization. Because if you do not put those measures in place properly, like you said, money, right? When the money go to the, first they used to send it to the senators or the representative to go and distribute it in the county, and the money stay right in, how you call it, to Robert Street Highway, right there. It stay there. It doesn't cross or go to the counties. So imagine now you give it to the superintendent, and the superintendent is the president. They said the definition, they said the superintendent work at the pleasure, according to our constitution. The school superintendent work according to the pleasure of the president, right? So if the president said, Mr. Superintendent, we allocated $1 million for your county development fund, I can only give you 500,000 because the rest of the 1 million that are going to be used for finishing my mansion and stuff like that. Can the superintendent say no? Right? Can the superintendent say no to that? Can the superintendent have any say in what the president tell him to do? You understand? So then you find out that the money starts staying where it's start being misused, because if the person that supposed to control the money doesn't have no regulation or no guidance on how to use that money, then basically we go back to the same 06 and 7, and it gets worse because at first we had these guys, we are the representative that we used to put our mouth on when they don't do nothing in their counties. Now we send the money to the representative, the superintendent, and then the superintendent now eat the money. Then we have a whole new ball game again to start chasing. No, but, so what do you think about that?
So okay, this is what I would see, and I think the reason it goes the way it is going now, and we're not seeing a success, and this is just my opinion, it may not be a fact, is if we do that, if we decentralize, right? And I'm from District 1, Boakai, and the money goes to the superintendent because I was elected to serve Boakai district. The superintendent was elected to serve Boakai, right? And if the money goes to the superintendent as a county representative, it becomes the check and balance, in my opinion, will become more effective because it's not coming from the elected person to the appointed person. It's not coming from elected person to elected person, and then these two elected persons are accountable to the same group of people.
Yeah.
So now it will, to me, to my own observation, if we exclude some of those brown envelope exchanges that go on, if we exclude them, if we are very stringent on those things, then the representative will make sure that when the money goes to the superintendent, his district must be served. That's how I think oversight would now become more effective. But because it is going to the representative, and he thinks it should be going to his district, but the person who he's supposed to answer to is the citizen, and he, the superintendent, has no voice here, it becomes ineffective. And that's just my observation. It becomes ineffective. Because both of you're supposed to be taking over the whole county, right? You're supposed to be oversight of the whole county, but you're answerable to one person. I'm from District 1. I'm answerable to, well, let's just go by the minimum, because according to the Constitution, the minimum is 25,000 people to have a district, right? So if I assume that I got 25,000 or 30,000 people that I'm accountable to, well, Mr. Superintendent, you're only answerable to one person. I'm answerable to 25,000 people who are the people that elected me. So when the money comes to me, I don't have to report to the superintendent, right? But if the superintendent is elected by, let's just put a number out there, that Boakai, for example, if Boakai got 250,000 people, and then he elected the superintendent, now he got more people to answer to than this district, right? Then we can have a discussion. Because when you come to me, Mr. District number 1 man, and say, look, I got my 10,000 people here or 25,000 people here that need these services and they need it right now, then we can have the discussion and say, okay, yes, I look at your district, but let's look at the whole Boakai. Okay, Boakai, district number 1, you got this. District number 2, you got this. District number, and so forth. Let us sit there and discuss. Then the discussion can be held. But at this time, it's difficult to have the discussion when one person is appointed and the other person is elected. So I think if you decentralize that would become the accountability will be more effective.
Before I respond to what you said, let me just make our announcement. Folks, if you are just joining us, this is Liberia Shall Rise. I'm Dr. Positive, and I'm here with my brother Emmanuel G. Sapolosia, and we are talking about decentralization of Liberia. If you want to participate, you can call in at 682-503-9906, and let's hear your voice. Liberia is turning 178. For God's sake, why is it that when you leave Monrovia, as soon as you pass Robert Field, because the airport has small light, right? As soon as you pass Robert Field, then you enter darkness. It's like you're going in some kind of black hole, right? Then you drive for 3-4 hours, then you hit Buchanan, then you see light. Then when you see small light in the corner, because the whole city of Buchanan doesn't have light, right? Then you pass Buchanan, then you go to Riverside, that one part, you go in complete darkness. You know, before God created light, you're going back to the beginning, you know. Yeah. Then you're going back to the beginning before God said, let there be light. You know, so I'm stopping right to Riverside because I think when I go deeper, then that time, it wasn't like God not even thinking about creating the earth at that time for the other countries. Then, but anyway, what do you think about decentralization? Do you think Liberia is far behind because we are centralized? We have power actually invested in only one person, the president. When the president say, let's go to Lofa today, everybody, the whole Monrovia is empty. Everybody going to Lofa because the president going to Lofa. And when the president leave Lofa, if they didn't treat him well in Lofa, the development he went to Lofa, it ending right there. Why should we be running a country this big or a country this old in this kind of, I would say, 16th century or 10th century way? Mr. Sapolos here.
And to give some of the things that can help, that will benefit the counties, right? Because let's say I'm in Boakai. If I'm the superintendent elected for Boakai to serve the Boakai citizen, then I would not have to wait for central government to approve whether we should have a banking system, a government banking system where payroll will be paid, right? Because I'm going to be fighting now for my people. I'm not fighting for the president's desire.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So all those services that are in Monrovia, vehicle inspection. In fact, just recently when I was following the national ID card, the national ID card draft that they had, people were leaving from as far as Grand Jide to come to Monrovia and spend weeks to get an ID card. But if I'm the Boakai superintendent elected, guess what? I will write a letter to the president and say, look, we need to have a substation here because Boakai already created or mimic what Monrovia has, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of whatever, and have those things in Boakai. So
I will pause you right there, though. We don't even need to write the president. That's why we're still giving the president power, all the power, because when you set up a county, right? They said the county is administrative, is set up for administrative purposes, right? Like remote administrative offices. So if you have a county, whatever is in Monrovia should be, every service in Monrovia should be represented, should be replicated in all those counties. You shouldn't need to leave Grand Jide to come to Monrovia to get a passport. And actually Grand Jide is a unique situation. I have a friend of mine who came here as an exchange student. This kid wanted his passport. At that time, he was still trying to get his passport. He never knew anybody in Monrovia. So basically, he was trying to figure out, how can I come to Monrovia to get my passport, apply for my passport, then go back to Grand Jide, then apply for my student visa in America. All those things, he had to come to Monrovia to do all that stuff. Without coming to Monrovia as a student in Grand Jide, you cannot do anything. So people are suffering, people are stuck. And the process of even getting a birth certificate or driver license or any document in Liberia, the fact that you have to leave your county, your comfort zone, leave your family, put your life at risk to come to Monrovia, I think that needs to stop at some point. And the thing is, even just the money that is raised from those things can be helping the county to pay for their teachers. It can help the counties to pay their government workers too. The teachers don't have to wait for their check to come from all the way Monrovia. Somebody get on the keke and drive their check all the way to the county. You understand? Those things need to change. Liberia is too old for us to be operating that way.
Yeah, but even in the absence, and I don't want us to get off the, but even in the absence of decentralization of power, because what we're discussing is decentralization of power, not decentralization of government, right? Even in the absence of decentralization of power, those things should have been in place long time ago. There should be no reason why in 2025 we're talking about somebody leaving from Grand Jide to come to Monrovia just to get a national ID card. Those things should have been done long time ago in the absence of decentralization.
On a who administration, you said long time ago. Since the thing is the development, that's why the decentralization of power is important, because the development or the decision to put a passport office in Grand Jita, the decision to put health ministry, everything comes from the president's office. So if
but that's no, that's not only it, Dr. Positive. That is the role of the legislature. Okay, because before you approve a budget, those are some of the things the lawmakers are supposed to be asking for. That's what they should be asking. Say, look, before I can approve this budget, this is what we need. In fact, they had to pass a budget for the new ID card. They got the new issue, how do you call it, national ID card.
National ID
so
card,
before approving those budget, that's why, and that's what these are the problem that we have when we're discussing the issues. That's what I'm saying. In the absence of decentralization of power, those are things that should be already addressed. First of all, you as a lawmaker, I'm from district number 1. You guys from district number 1 in Grand Jita. Before you sign that budget, you should ask the executive, hey, okay, you want us to sign this. I'm from district number 1 in Grand Jita. Do you have a substation in Grand Jita where my citizen will be able to take the national ID card there? If not, I'm not signing this budget.
But even
because they are not, even though they are elected, they're not serving the will and the will of the pleasure of the people, and still the executive. That is why these things are not happening.
So again,
that's the role of the lawmakers.
Again, that's what I'm saying. It's important for us to know, right? Like basically, all right, it's the lawmakers that are supposed to allocate those things. The representatives supposed to represent their people, right?
Yeah.
So the Constitution gave everybody definition. Should we look at the definition of these people roles and responsibility again, right? So the roles and responsibility of a representative. What is your role? Now the representative. Do they even report to the superintendent? Since our constitution say the president appoints the superintendent, who do the representative report to, right? Do they report to the, you understand, at the county level, right?
Yeah, at the county level, the lawmakers, because they are elected by the people, they're supposed to report to the people. They cannot report to the superintendent because the superintendent is appointed by the president, so they cannot, under no circumstances will they be answerable to the superintendent, because if that happens, then they are answerable to the president indirectly. So they cannot.
Yeah, again,
people the lawmaker can report to are the citizens that elected them.
So Sapolosa, let me say hi. Hey, hello, everybody. When you just joining us, this is Liberia Shall Rise. We're talking about Liberia after 178 years, decentralization of power, basically development, everything, right? Services that people get, like basic driver license. When you want your driver license, you buy a vehicle all the way at Lofa. You buy a vehicle in Lofa. You have to drive that vehicle unregistered all the way to Monrovia to register it before you take it back to Lofa. If you bought that vehicle to start doing business immediately in Lofa, you cannot start your business until that vehicle is legally or properly registered. And these are things that should be done at the county level and not only in Monrovia. And this is what we're talking about. Even we maybe have to have a part B of decentralization of services, because the power is, I think, a big problem first, because to take the power from the president to say you cannot appoint a superintendent anymore, that one another war on its own. So I think we should focus on the decentralization of services, because first, if I was applying for passport, imagine the passport process, Sapolosa. You as a person, even from America, when you're money in your hand, you go to the passport office and you say, I want my passport because I'm going back to America. I need it expedited. That expedition process said don't work. So you tell me somebody that come from all the way Grand Crew, they drove for 4, 5, 6 hours, came to Monrovia.
They talking about hours. Days.
Okay, I just making it thing easy, my man. I know Liberia geography.
I don't want us to give false impression to the
people. All right, so you're the geography teacher.
Yeah, to drive from Grand Jita, to drive from Maryland, sometimes it takes people a week. I know the government say it's taking 1 day, taking 2 days, taking a few hours. But let us go back to rainy season. This is July. We know the road condition. to leave from Nima, from Grand Jide, Sano, Maryland, it normally take you, the minimum, in my opinion, from my observation, from what I have seen, is 4 to 5 days.
Okay, so
Realistically.
4 days, let make it 5 days on average. 5 days, you drive from Grand Coup. You drive from Grand Coup, you don't know nobody in Monrovia. You come, you find somewhere to sleep. Maybe you pay for a hotel, or you decide to, you can't afford it. If you can afford it, you pay for a hotel. If because hotel are $50 a day, right? In Monrovia, $50 a day. It depends where you get it to. So from $50 per day to whatever amount it is.
USD, by the way, not Liberian dollar.
Not Liberian dollar. So let me just make the thing, because you keep making the thing hard for the people, you know.
No, they didn't understand the gravity of it, because USD is very important. It's USD, $50 USD.
Yeah. So let's say somebody come and they apply for their passport, because the person know they all the way from Grand G there, they pay for the expedition process for the passport, which is $80, right? It was $80 back in 2022 when I was in Liberia. But that person paid that $80. Now the waiting process start. Expedition supposed to be 1 day or 1 week. I think it's supposed to be the fastest. You pay your money and you're supposed to get it. That person don't know anybody at the passport office, right? So now they're sitting there waiting. They go to their hotel. They pay the first $50. They say, "Oh, I will just pay for 2 days." Because they say I pay for expedition, so it's going to be finished in 3 days. For example, let's just say like we all got good enough, we made it 3 days. On the third day, that person passport don't show up. What do? They go and pay for another month. They pay for another day. Now they're eating into their transportation to go back to Grand Jide. You understand? So this is very, very sad for our citizens. It's impacting our citizens financially in the first place, then mentally too, because now you are in Monrovia, you could be stranded. You could get stranded in Monrovia, because if you only came with the passport money plus your 2 days sleeping money, and then maybe another $50 or so for you to eat, once that money out, you don't know nobody in Monrovia. What do you do? What do you do, Sapolosia?
Well,
do you go to your representative to complain, or what?
That would be one route. But then think about, to even get to the representative, even though you elected him, okay? Because the attitude I have seen in Liberia is those that are elected by the people feel that once they are in that office, they are no longer answerable to anybody. Which is sad, because the lawmakers don't feel that they are answerable to anybody. They feel that they have all authority, nobody can ask them any questions. So you as a citizen, if you don't have a demonstration where you so put placard in the air and call some people, nobody will listen to you. And even at that, sometimes the same policemen take get a man out of here. So the citizens themselves, they are almost they are electing the people at the will of the pleasure of the people they are electing, right? Because the people are not answerable to them. And it is sad. It's sad that we don't have these services provided, but it puts a serious constraint on the person coming from as far as Grand Jide. Because I know when I was watching that interview for those people, the lady, when she came first, or the few of them that came, they came first, they took the picture, and then they told them, "Hey, you have, after this certain time, come back and receive your ID card," right? And then, so just imagine you ride a vehicle from Grand Jide, you come to Monrovia, spend 2 or 3 days, get your picture taken, then you have to go back. That's a lot of inconvenience. It put financial constraint, not just on the individual, but their family. And how many people making that money? Let's be realistic. We also look at the financial constraint in Liberia, because most of the people are not employed. So passport, like you talk about the passport story, most of the people that will have that ability to leave from Grand Jide to come to Monrovia for a passport are the people who maybe they got relative in America. But what if the person don't have anybody in America and they have done this visa or this application online to ask for this? And most of our people, and I will believe it, and I think it could be a fact, that there's a lot of Liberians who have missed opportunity of coming for scholarships and other stuff because of this financial constraint. Because when I was in Liberia hustling in LU, I could not afford to pay for a passport. Somebody had to send me money from here to get birth certificate, to get passport and all that stuff. So now putting myself in the shoe of a guy who is in Grand Jide, The transportation from Grand to Monrovia, it is a hassle. And then he doesn't have anybody in Monrovia. Sometimes people kind of sleeping in the street because they cannot afford hotel bills because everything
Yeah.
is in US dollars.
Yeah.
Right? The Liberian currency is according to them is valueless. So that's the constraint we put on these people. And then when they come to Monrovia, the lawmakers are not even answering their. In fact, we who are in position, who live from here and go to represent our people back home, we don't even get access to the lawmakers. Only when they hear they can answer us. But when we get back home, they don't answer us anymore. So those become. Oh, you get it? This I'm going to get feedback when you put it up.
Oh, hold on.
So once and think about it, if I'm here, the man comes, sometimes someone else stop with, or someone else come, we're attending meetings, and we have one one-on-one conversation, right? And they say, oh yes, we talk 1 or 2 times, but when they get back home, they're on the ground. And then no matter what policy, what procedure, or whatever we have to go and give to them, say, look, this is what we can do for our county. They don't even want to listen to us. Now think about a guy who doesn't have any influence. I got a talk show. I can put that man on here and blast him, and the whole world may see and put him on the blast. But a guy who doesn't have a platform like mine to put those representative or senator on the blast, he doesn't have a voice. So we should think about those constraints that they have, and for our people to not even consider them. Look at what they're going through. It's sad, and that's why we need to discuss these issues. That's why we need to bring these issues up front. So we need to be discussing these issues, not just the decentralization of power, but the decentralization of services. Because I know we have discussed this before, but nothing is happening.
So Sabalosia, I will bring you back to the topic, right? And I want us to talk about this one report from Afrobarometer, right? I know I briefly talked about it earlier. If 78% of the country is saying that the superintendent shouldn't be elected, shouldn't be appointed, right? And 78% of 5 million are plenty number, right? I don't know my math right now. Of 78% of 2 million people, let's say, or 3 million are plenty number. And the Constitution says, in order to amend the Constitution, it only take 10,000 people that is required for the House of Representatives to look at your petition. It has to be 10,000 people. So if 78% Liberians are saying this, do you think if we do the same thing like we did the last time and say, hey, we have this petition, Liberia should rise, have this petition for us to make sure that from 2026 going forward, our representative, our superintendent are now appointed, are now elected instead of appointed. Do you think people will sign that petition?
Can you put that down?
Hold on, before you come in again, then what would be the requirement for somebody to become a superintendent? Are we saying anybody can be superintendent, or do they have to have some level of education? I'll let you answer that. Let me take this off the screen for you.
So, and this is the problem we have with our country, right? We don't prioritize anything. What affecting the people, the citizens, they don't prioritize that. Now, why it is true, that study or that survey may have said 78% of the people agree that the superintendent should not be appointed but elected. But if I tell you, if you were to give people a petition and say, hey, we need to sign this petition and submit it to the lawmakers, that 78% will drop to maybe 10%. And that is the problem. But listen to this. On the 17th, one guy just got out and said, oh, I don't like the way the government is behaving. Let's go and demonstrate. People will get in the street for that. So that's the missed priorities we have. We don't prioritize what affect us as a people. We prioritize what affect 1 or 2 people, right? Those who got money, those who got loud mouth to speak, those are the people we prioritize more than our own interests. Unfortunately, Liberians do not understand what politics means. Politics is about self-interest. And when we mean self-interest, it's not just me. It means us as a people. How the thing I'm pushing for, how does it benefit my community? How does it benefit the future generation? Until Liberians can start to know what prioritize is going to be a challenge. You can put that petition out. I mean that I think when we're talking about, I think the services for the embassy, even in the states, in the United States,
I think
where
we
we
have
are,
50 or 75.
here I got more than almost 5,000 people. I had to even delete some people from my Facebook stuff. I got about 5,000 people as friends on Facebook. About 30% of those people are in the states. But out of that, we got 50 people that signed that petition. And so I didn't just do it on my Facebook. Those that are no president, I put it in the WhatsApp chat rooms, various WhatsApp chat room that I'm part of. But yet, only 50 people. And some of the chat room will get about 300 people in there. Some of the chat room will get about, I don't know, a huge number. But yet, only 50 people signed that petition. Even in the United States. So that is the problem, because we don't know what to prioritize. But if I were to put some negative thing in the chat room, hundreds, if not thousands, even on Facebook, if I were to go and post some negative thing on Facebook that don't have nothing to do with any development of Liberians, more than 1,000 people will comment on that particular negative thing. So until we can start prioritizing things that benefit us as a people, it's going to be a challenge for those numbers to actually reflect what we want. Now, when it comes to qualification, we can set a qualification as the same. Administratively, because as a superintendent, you have become an administrator. So in my opinion, those should be the criteria. Has this guy managed any project? And what are his vision? Now, those who elected him now will have to, because but then when it becomes politics, it's difficult to know what criteria you set. Because the people can tell you, look, whether the man educated or not, I will elect him as my person. So it's a challenge to set an educational criteria for that, unless the election commission enforce that criteria. That's the only way it will suffice. But if the election commission don't set those criteria, then it becomes a challenge. So you can put it there, but the election commission will have to enforce that before the people vote upon.
And the reason I asked that question, Sapolozia, we have people running our Senate right now that don't know what it takes to run a business, don't know what it takes to run a community, don't know what it takes to lead, right? And once their pocket are full, once they have money to buy their new cars and all those stuff, they don't care about the next road, they don't care about the next school. So as we talk about decentralization of power, I didn't want to also just talk about it without challenging ourselves. Before we put this thing in place, we have to make sure that the person that is taking on that role have the right qualities and leadership skills, because what this is going to do for Liberia is, when you start centralizing power, we will now find that our next president could be the best superintendent in another county. You understand? And that's why people now should start looking at the big picture, because in America here, sometimes the best governors become the next president. Sometimes the best senators become the next president. You understand? So we have to put in good criteria when we're making these changes. And as a platform, since we are suggesting this, we have to make sure we discuss this as well, because we don't just want to say, let's decentralize power. Now we can say anybody who is the best hunter in the village can now become the superintendent, right? You know how to hunt, but when it comes to your mineral resources, when it comes to the things that we are discussing, the services for your people, right? What do you do for that? Even the superintendent that the president is appointing, maybe we should, if we cannot change it now, maybe we should put some criteria to say that before that person get appointed as a superintendent, they have to have these qualifications, because we don't want a yes man to the president. I would just say yes, 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 yes. And then when the president is not doing no development in your county, just because he make you superintendent, you have this name, superintendent of Riverside County. You're walking around with it and you're not doing anything with it. So I hope our people, as they listen to this conversation, they are seeing something that they can now start questioning their leaders to say, hey, why is it that we have a superintendent that ain't doing nothing for us? Do we really need a superintendent? If the person is not doing nothing, why pay them? Why waste taxpayer money?
And those are valid questions as well. Then another question: why do we have the lawmakers when they're not signing concession agreement that will benefit their districts? And I'm one of those people who feel that if these people are not doing their job, we shouldn't have a third branch of government, or the first branch of government, where it is the first branch of government. We shouldn't have a first president of government, because if they're not doing that oversight duty, then we shouldn't have them, because we're just wasting resources. And again, I will go back to because many times I have said this on this show, that in the last 30 years, you can almost not see anything visible that have changed in Liberia besides the individual that go to these places. You have senators who have a lot of mansions, but JFK still lying in ruin. You have people from the district number from Swakoko, Phoebe Hospital. You have series of or representatives from that area who, when you go, you will see their personal property, but Phoebe is still lying in ruin. They don't even have a good laboratory system. So, and this is a serious problem. You have people who have, in my own district, Boakai district number 1, who have had series of lawmakers or representatives, but we don't have one hospital in that district. But all the representatives have come from there. Some of them have become millionaires. But we don't have one working hospital. Not one high school, equipped high school in the whole district. But we have representatives who were nobody, who had not even $1,000 in their pocket. But today they say, I'm a millionaire. So who is developing? Is it a county that is developing? Is it a district that representatives are developing? Or just an individual? So in the last 20 to 30 years, all we have had are individuals who serve in government and developing themselves, but the very places that they're representing still lie in ruin.
So, Sabolosia, one other thing I read when I was reading the Constitution, it says the Republic of Liberia, or the government, has the right, they are entitled to educate the people on the Constitution. Which one of our representatives, which one of our senator, or which one of our president, have you ever heard them talking about the Constitution should be taught in schools in Liberia as part of our history, as part of our civic training, right?
So that question you asked, I got an answer for that. I got an answer for that. When I was in school, and I know when you were in school, you were doing civics. And again, when it happened, I said it was intentional. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came and removed civics from the curriculum. Why? Because she wants those people that are in the country not to know their rights. Because that's what people do. If they don't want you to question what they are doing, they don't want you to be educated. And that is the reason we find ourselves in the predicament we find ourselves, because Liberians are not being educated to think. When you and I were in school, when I was in school, we did even our math, your math book. If you look at certain section after you do your questions, the last 3 or 4 questions, you will see critical thinking. Our chemistry, the last 2 or 3 questions will tell you critical thinking. They remove all those things. And even when some people were teaching, I know when I was in school, most teachers did not give those particular people. We who had the textbook, and not many students had the textbook. We who had the textbook, those are where we used to go. I used to go and check those questions, answer the question, and bring it to class, because we're the troublemaker in the class. And we'll ask the teachers, and guess what? Some of the teachers, class teachers will not know those questions, and we'll start answering them for them. Those are intentional, because they don't want you to have that kind of intellectual thinking or intellectual capability.
Sabolosia, I see the time is taking 2 o'clock now, so I will just let's wrap this up, but I will ask you a favor in front of everybody here. I think we spend most of our time talking about decentralization of services, right? Because the power aspect is something that we have a heavy battle to fight. It requires a constitutional amendment. It requires everything. But the simple thing that I think we can pursue and fight on is this decentralization of services, government services. And who can we challenge to make that a reality? And that's a question I want you to help me answer as we wrap this show up, and make that your final word to the Liberian government or to the Liberian people, because we elect these people and just walk away. Like Obama once said, don't just appoint us, don't just lead and elect us and walk away. Ask us questions, challenge us, So what would be your challenge to the government right now as far as services is concerned, and the things we are discussing? Please help me and wrap up the show for me.
Okay, so first, to the Liberian people, go and look at your constitution, Article 1. It gives you all the power It said the power is vested in you. And if you don't, that particular article, I'm just summarizing. It tells you that if you are not satisfied with those people that you elect, you can have a referendum to remove them. It is written in the Constitution. So that is a power you have. So the first challenge goes to the Liberian electorates. Those who you are electing, if they're not performing to your satisfaction, you can go and remove them. But the only way you will know that you have that right if you can read your own constitution. So the challenge to all Liberians and those that are listening is to, one, go and familiarize yourself with your constitution to know the rights that you have. That's the first thing. Two, the lawmakers. We should start electing lawmakers that actually want to serve the people and not just their pocket. And that's the problem we have had for the past years. The last 30 years, again, I'll go back to my points I made earlier. In every district that I have seen in the last 30 years, you put something up there, giving an echo. So every district I have seen in the last 30 years, only the representatives that are coming from there are developing. But the citizen or the infrastructure or the things that they need have not been developed. Example, if you go to Phoebe Hospital, it's still the same. You go to JFK, almost still the same. Nothing have changed, but the representative from that district can show you mansions that he or she has built in the last 30 years. The same with the Liberia district. I'm from district number 1 in Boakai. I cannot see a good high school that have been built in the last 30 years that we can say, oh, their high school was built. They got a computer lab, they got all these things. I cannot see that. Not even hospital, even in my hometown, where I had to contribute to fix the clinic that is there. Today, the lawmaker from that district have not said, look, send the people renovate their clinic, let them put staff in there so that you can serve that people. But I can tell you, in the last 2 or 3 years that he or she have been in power, they have built 2 or 3 houses, they have bought thousands of acres of land for their own development. So we need to start holding ourselves accountable. Until we can do that, these services we're talking about, the executive is not going to give it to you. The executive is not going to give it to you. Decentralization of power will not be given to you by the legislature. I mean, by the executive, because the executive enjoys that power. And it doesn't matter who it can be. Even me, Emmanuel, tomorrow I become president of that country. If I'm not pressured to do the right thing for you, you're not going to get it. Because when I get there, I'm going to get a ton of vision. What I think is good, that's what I'm going to start implementing. But until you can tell me, hey, this is what we need from you based on the constitution, the requirement, then I'm going to do it. So Liberia, we have to start learning to prioritize what is important. Politics is about interests. It's not about what is good for the lawmakers. It's not about what is good for the president. It's about what is good for your community, the community from which you are from. That's what is important. Baila. How many clinics do you have? You don't even have a high school in the last 30 years. The whole Weah district, you have nothing to represent you. District number 1. So it is about time that we start to have a referendum that will meet the needs of the people. When we open the education system, let it be there to meet the needs of our people. So that when we graduate these people, they can go back to their community and serve, not to be running to Monrovia. And the only way these things can be done, like my brother asks, who should we challenge? Is by challenging our lawmakers that before they sign a budget, that budget they're signing that say education, it should address the need of Boakai citizens in the Weah district, Lofa County, Nimba, and so forth. Each district should benefit from the education budget, not just the Ministry of Education. Health, the same thing. Agriculture, the same thing. You cannot have an agriculture budget where most of the money remains in Monrovia, when Monrovia is not producing any rice. When we know the 3 major countries that used to produce food, Lofa, Bon, Nimba. But the agriculture ministry is in Monrovia instead of in the rural area. We need to remove the agriculture ministry from Monrovia. Let it be in the places where it will produce food for the people. Lands and mine or energy. The mining company, they are not in Monrovia. The mining company are in the direct counties. Why is it situated in Monrovia? So until we can start to decentralize the services in that manner, Liberia is not going to go anywhere. I can understand foreign ministry can be in Monrovia. But lands and mines, most of the land not in Monrovia. Most of the land is outside of Monrovia or Monterey County. The mining companies are in the rural area. So we need to start to rethink the priority of the Liberian people needs. And until we can do that, 178 years, somebody will say it's our all wasted years. So let us start rethinking of how we can decentralize the services, and then we can talk about decentralizing the power. With that, Liberians and Dr. Positive, thank you for giving me the honor to serve as the closing, to give a closing remark. I want to say, Liberians, thank you for joining us. You have been wonderful. And we ask that you consider these things and don't just take our words for it. Go and do your own research. See how it has benefited other countries. See how it has benefited other people. And see whether you can redirect those policies, and channel them to your own district, your own community, so that Liberia can actually celebrate an independence. But as it stands, some of us don't know what we are celebrating, besides what we see in the Constitution. Liberia, it is about time that we start to reprioritize. And with that, I want to say thank you for joining us today. You can join us tomorrow on This Could Be You on LSR, and it should be broadcast in Liberia as well. Dr. Positive.
Right. Thank you, brother. Thank you to everybody. Happy Independence. I know the Liberian feeling, our own celebration starting today, where they actually, people selling food on the park, people selling different things. I mean, I can't wait to go eat pepper kala, and all the kind of stuff. So, Sabolosia, you took my time. I mean, 10 minutes extra, but now I've been eating my pepper kala, but you took 10 minutes of my time, man. So, but anyway, thank you so much for coming on.
You're the CEO, so
yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. I was saying I understand that 10 minutes is important. That was a 10 minutes of good discussion. This is important. And like you were saying, in order for us to celebrate our country someday, I would like to go to Grand Cru and take 3 hours and just go from Monrovia, drive there and come back, go and spend my weekend and come back. I don't want to go 5 days when I visit Liberia and spend 5 days on the road, and I just spend 1 day in the place that I'm going, So these things are important, and until the leaders that are leading those counties understand the value of the leader, of the position they have, these things will never, this discussion will never ever be held. So thank you so much for coming on, and to everybody that joining us for the first time, please follow us. And again, happy independence to all of you. In order for Liberia to rise, we all have to start talking about these things. Challenge your representative, challenge your friends for them to start talking about these things instead of just the leader that driving the best car or the leader that dressed the best way and things like that. Those things don't feed your family. Those things don't build the hospitals in your community. What build a hospital is these discussions that we are having. So again, Mr. Sapolosia, thank you so much. I'll be seeing you soon, but again, enjoy your time with the family and happy independence to you. I know you want me to tell you that, but I will still say happy independence, Liberia turning 178 years. I hope we all enjoy and at least thank God for making us part of this great country.
Wish you the same, and thank you, and I'll see you next week.
All right, brother. Thank you.